We are live now with Bernie Sanders' rally in Carson, California. Thanks to Fox 10 Phoenix. We really appreciate Fox 10 Phoenix for caring more about the freedom of the press than most others.
I will never forget that moment. He stood there with a look of awe in his face.
We love Bernie!
He had a look of amazement in his face. His countenance was that of a man with such deep feelings, and at that moment, I felt what he felt. And that's when my heart was ignited. That's when I started feeling the burn. He was just gonna... Because I knew that this man was someone I could get behind, someone I could lift up, someone I could support until the very last ballot is counted. I knew in that moment that this man was authentic. I knew in that moment that this man is trustworthy. And I knew in that moment that this man cares about people. Because he has a consistent track record, right? Everybody can look it up. Do you know that he is called the Amendment King? Yeah, you know that, right? Because he's more amendments than anybody in the history of Congress. Because he votes with his conscience. He speaks for his concern for issues that may not be the fashion of the day. He says, we are all in this together. All of us. All of us. Together. Not me, us. And whoever created that hashtag, feel the burn. Oh my God. Oh my God. So in honor of that moment, a year ago, I ask you right now, sitting, those of you who are sitting, and you guys are already standing up for Bernie, that if you feel on a gut level that you will support President Sanders all the way to the White House, stand up!
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Fox 10, for bringing us this feed, nice, crystal clear. This is also running on Bernie Sanders speeches and events. They've got a stream of it. I believe they're grabbing it from CNN or somebody. Please, everybody, right now, we have an emergency in this country. We have a establishment media that is not reporting the truth. There's a video on Facebook of what actually happened at the Nevada caucus. It's been going around. Please share that and share that. There's also a video on politicalrevolution.tv about the Bernie Sanders statement and the truth of what actually happened. But right now, every major establishment news source is functioning no different than the Nazi propaganda machine in the 30s and 40s and not reporting the truth. So please help us. Spread the word. Share the truth. If you have a family member that is watching establishment media and not connected to the net, please get them to see the truth. Show them a video. Show them what really happened. Show them the difference between what really happens in reality and what is reported on the news, because it is destroying our democracy. And we need to end the lies. We need to bring transparency to the media. We need to force it to happen. And now that I got that out, how are you doing this evening? Hi, Lyle. Now, okay, remember, this is Fox 10. The camera work is all them. Beautiful, clean picture there. Yes, Book the Crook. I like that. I did vote. I turned in my ballot at the Letting Library in Milwaukee. I've art Shiva. No, Andy, I am certainly not king. That would be not the right. Maybe. Definitely just one of the people in media here. But thank you. I appreciate the compliment. What's going on in Oregon? I don't know. There's no results yet. I haven't. I think we don't get results until around 8 o'clock tonight in Oregon. The results in Kentucky, though, apparently right now, Hillary Clinton ahead by like a few votes. It's basically a statistical tie. And that's what's going on. Audio-wise, I'm just waiting for the audio to kick in here on the feed. They have it cut while we're waiting for somebody to come up. That was Susan Sarandon, I think we caught there at the beginning. If you're not aware of what's been going on, bottom line is there's many videos out now. The Facebook video, there's several copies of it. There's a reposting of what we did on the newsroom this morning. And the Young Turks has a nice 20-minute video explaining things very clearly. Cenk Uygur has that out. This is what happened in the early 1900s as well. This is when corporate media was telling lies to the people and the government, and Teddy Roosevelt started listening to independent media, and independent media became the new media because they were telling the truth. And that's what's happening right now, right here. We have a repeat of that in history, folks. We have an establishment media that has left the realms of journalism. Decades ago, they stopped being journalists and became propaganda machines for the establishment. And now they are being usurped because the American public can see the truth. The internet allows transparency. We can see the truth, hear the truth. We have it documented, recorded. We use our devices to know the truth, and you can't lie. You can't lie anymore. The age of transparency is here, and the establishment and the establishment media are really just trying to figure out how they can continue to spin their narrative in the age of transparency, and they can't. But we need your help to reach all the people that are misinformed. Here we go.
My name is Hollis Wong, where I'm in the band called The Flavor Blue, and I have the honor of opening today's ceremonies with the national anthem. So please rise, as is your wont, or sit down if you feel it. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
That was nice. National anthem there. More than 400 of you joining us right now. Thank you so much, and thank you Fox 10 Phoenix for delivering this stream. They've been one of the best providers of streams, oddly enough. Thank you very much, guys. I'm wondering if you feel the burn. Local stations have really kicked up to help us in broadcasting Bernie Sanders because he is blocked every step of the way by establishment media at the national level. If you are out there, and I know you're out there, I'm 46. Anybody 46 or older, if you have friends that don't use the internet, spend most of their time maybe messing around on Facebook, but get most of their news and information from mainstream media, please find that video on Facebook, and we'll get that into chat, and share it with them so they can see the reality of what's going on. We really need to reach the people that are still connected to the tube and do not understand what is happening in the country right now. We are at a critical time. One of these days, I'm going to get myself some nice quiet background tracks so we don't lose it like this. I think they're coming on with somebody again real soon. Well, this isn't very fair. Can't let you just look at this. Listen to me. Where's he going with the camera? Where is he going? Where's this guy going? There we go. There we are.
How are you? Hello, everyone. My name is Adriana Arevalo, and I'm very excited to be here. Well, if you are excited there, I can tell you how I'm feeling right here. Are we feeling something special today? Are we feeling the burn? I would like to tell you something about myself. I'm a journalist, and before the campaign, I worked as a journalist for 22 years. Yeah. I was news director for Univision in Nevada. And I can tell you that I'm proud of my past, and I'm proud of everything I accomplished. But something is clear now for me. What Bernie and this campaign have brought to my life is a gift. It goes beyond a job or a professional experience. Please look around you. Isn't it a gift to be sharing this right moment with so many people? Don't you think that it is a gift to be part of history, because we are making history? Now, as a journalist, I never crossed the line between information and opinion, but in life, sometimes you have to make decisions, and you have to decide what kind of role you want to play. And I decided to play a more active role. Because like you, I believe in change. Like you, I want my children to get access to free tuition college. Like you, I want to know that no one else is going to die for lack of health insurance. And like you, I want to stop unfair deportations and separation of families. by my accent, I think you guessed I'm an immigrant, right? Well, yes, I'm Colombian. I'm a proud Latina. ¿Dónde están los latinos por Bernie? He visto muchos jóvenes latinos aquí y a ustedes, les tengo una misión. Ustedes deben llevar el mensaje de Bernie Sanders a sus padres, sus abuelos, sus tíos. ¿Queremos ver a Bernie Sanders en la Casa Blanca? Do we want to see Bernie in the White House? Yeah, sí podemos. Sí se puede. Well, and that's why I'm here, because I'm away from my family. We live in Nevada. But I'm here because I think it is my duty. I have to be here. And I think that the Bernie Sanders campaign needs each one of you. Yes. I have been working with the Bernie Sanders campaign for the last 5 months, and I can tell you something. Those have been the best 5 months ever. You know why? Because I've had the wonderful privilege to meet people like you, like all of you. People like Beatriz, a wonderful woman that was willing to share her home and her friendship with all of us. People like Olga and Juvenal, who opened the doors of their house not only to host me, but also to receive every day, 7 days a week, volunteers who want to canvass our phone bank. But they are only a little part of this great movement, because like them, we have hundreds of volunteers and Bernie supporters. To all of you, thank you. Now, you have done a great job, but we need to do more. We can win California, right? Sure we can, but we can do it all together. We need to make phone calls. We need to knock on 1 million doors. And we have only 5 days to meet our goal of 6,000 voters registered. Can we do it? Yes. If you haven't volunteered for the campaign, please do it. You can sign up here. We have a lot of people around. You can text the word volunteer to the number 82623, or you can go to the Bernie Sanders website. The time is now. Es ahora. We are in this together because we will win together. Can we count on you? dicen los latinos. I hope to see all of you out there knocking on doors, making phone calls. Are we gonna do it? Now I want to introduce the LA Councilman Gil Cedillo.
Soy el desarrollo en carne viva, un discurso político sin saliva, las caras más bonitas que he conocido, soy la fotografía de un desaparecido, la sangre dentro de tus venas, soy un pedazo de tela.
What's happening, everybody? You ready to win? You ready to fight? You ready to vote? Ready to win? Ready to fight? Ready to vote? All right. So look, I'm Gil Cedillo, council member, former senator, former assembly member, known to many of you as One Bill Gil. One Bill Gil is what they called me because for 16 years, I worked on a driver's license for immigrant motorists. And we won. And so, like Senator Sanders, I learned a little bit about how change happens in this country. And like Senator Sanders, we have shared values and a shared vision for the future of America. A vision that's inclusive of all people. And I'm so proud that of the half dozen states that have given a license in this country to immigrant motorists, Vermont is one of them thanks to the leadership of Senator Bernie Sanders and the governor. Now, there's a few things I learned in my 40 years of student activism, community organizing, union leadership, and being an elected official. And one of those things is I learned about leadership. What I learned about leadership is if you fight, you win. And that's why we're here tonight, because we are committed to fight for Bernie Sanders and for the leadership and the heart and soul of this party and this nation. And we're going to do this on June 7th. We're going to do this in the convention. We're going to do this all the way to the White House, and I'm going to tell you why. Bernie Sanders is the one leader in this nation who understands income inequality. And he understands it that it's not sustainable. He understands it that 1% of 1% cannot own 90% of the wealth of this nation. That this nation was built on a promise that our children will do better than us. That wherever we came from, whoever we love, whatever our heritage is, whatever our language is, that we came to this country for a dream that not us, but our children will do better than we did. And one of the vehicles for that, the great vehicle in this country, the great equalizer, the great thing that makes this country democratic, has been public education. A free public education. Like what I got when I went to UCLA. That in one, go Bruins, right? Here for those Bruins, go Bruins. A free education that allows you in one generation. My father came to Los Angeles, he was an unaccompanied minor. And my father came to Los Angeles and worked at American Can Company and was a union activist. And he didn't do that for himself, he did that for me. Just like your parents did for you. Because he knew with public education that in one generation, his son could be called senator, right? and that his grandson would be at the London School of Economics. That's for the greatness of this country, that public education is the great equalizer. It distinguishes us anywhere in the world. And that's why Bernie Sanders wants free college and free state education. You know why? Because you shouldn't be punished for getting educated. You shouldn't be burdened with tens of thousands of dollars of debt simply because you try to make yourself better. And we need you to be better. In the global economy, we need you to be better. We need you to be all that you can be, and Bernie Sanders understands that. Now, one thing I love about Bernie Sanders is how he loves immigrants. He knows when to vote no and when to vote yes. See, I love his no votes because I was with him. And I was with labor, and I was with all the organizations, the Latino civil rights organizations that said, Bernie Sanders, please vote no on this horrible bill. All right? We want immigration reform. We want immigration reform that doesn't compromise the dignity and respect of immigrants who come here for a better life. Now, let me tell you one reason why I'm here. 20 years ago, my transition from labor to public office, I was unemployed, I was uninsured, and my wife got cancer. And I'm going to tell you, in this country where health care isn't guaranteed, there is nothing more horrifying, more terrifying, nothing that will shake your faith than to hear the word cancer and not know how you're going to provide for your wife. And free health care is a human right. My wife's obviously not here with us anymore, but I know where she's at, and she's down up there, and she is making sure that I'm here because of what we had to go through, right? From the drug companies and the health insurances and whether the policies are covered or not, and the waits and the emergency rooms. There's no reason why America should be the only advanced industrialized nation in the world without free access to health care for every human being. And that's why I'm here with Bernie Sanders. Love that little girl right there. I have granddaughters now. Let me tell you, nothing making you want to do the right thing until you know you have granddaughters. Bernie Sanders is a man whose time has come. Bernie Sanders is an idea whose time has come. There's no force of nature. I don't care what the political leadership says. I don't care what the television pundits say. I don't care what the media says. Our time has come. Our time is now. We have a future to believe in, and that's Bernie Sanders, the next president of this nation. So I have one question for you, Lee. So I have one question for you. Are you ready to fight? Yeah. Are you ready to vote? Yeah. Are you ready to win? Yeah. Are you ready to take Bernie Sanders and win California on June 7th? Yeah. Are you ready to go to Philadelphia so they can see what the people's democracy looks like? Yeah. And are you ready to fight to make sure we take the White House in the fall? Sisters and brothers, thank you very much. God bless you. God bless Bernie Sanders. And let's fight for a future we can believe in.
Well, I like that guy. I like that guy a lot. He was passionate. Very inspiring. If you haven't already, please, everybody, share the Facebook video, share the Young Turks video, share our videos on politicalrevolution.tv, showing the truth of what happened in Nevada. Right now, the establishment media is functioning like the Nazi propaganda machine of the 30s and 40s, blatantly lying about what actually went on. There was no violence. A chair was not thrown. There was a chair that was picked up and put back down. And that is actually irrelevant. The apparent violence is not the issue. The fact that our democracy has been basically shit on, that's the issue. What Roberta Lang did and how that convention was conducted was wrong. And they know it's wrong, and the people know it's wrong, and it doesn't matter whether you support Hillary or Bernie. If you actually believe in democracy, you know that's wrong. So help us. Share that. Get that information into the hands of people who don't know, and to the people that refuse to go to the internet and look at the truth and are stuck watching establishment media on the TV. They've had 40, 50 years to indoctrinate us into believing their narrative, and we are just now waking up to the harsh reality that is the truth. And we're catching them in their lies because they cannot stop us from recording the truth with technology. Hi, establishment. Meet the internet and the 21st century. It will be your downfall. But we have to share that information or it's not going to get out there. Anybody know how many people we got out there in California? I don't know how many people fit in that place. Looks pretty big. Yeah, I don't. That's a good idea. Can we send millions of plastic toy chairs to CNN and NBC? Good question. Yeah, they are gaslighting burners. Absolutely. They're focusing on this assumed violence or this alleged violence, and not on the actual issue of the democracy being completely destroyed. And to call the Sanders campaign response unacceptable, I find you unacceptable, Debbie Wasserman Schultz. I find the entire process offensive. You are offensive. Hey, Barbara Boxer, you're offensive. Roberta Lang, there's a number of expletives that I have for you. You are offensive as well. When your democracy is being shit on, that's offensive. Cuss words, threats, those really aren't as offensive as somebody taking your voice, the people's voice, and just saying, nope, none ya, not gonna listen, don't care. We have the rules here. We make the rules. And if you listen to that video, 27,000? Are you serious, guys? Or is that $27? You're trying to tell me it's 12,000? 12,000 people? 1,200? What? It's got to be more than 1,200 in there. I know it's a lot of people. One way or the other, it's a lot of people. And they sound pretty passionate for Bernie Sanders. I'm trying my best not to look at the full MSN coverage because when I hear Debbie Wasserman talk, it just gets me so enraged. But I don't know how they expect the Sanders people, if they're going to put this on the campaign, I don't know how they expect the burners to be polite when their voice is being ignored. Who's being rude here? Who's being offensive here?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Kendrick Sampson from How to Get Away with Murder.
How's it going? This is beautiful. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Kendrick Sampson. I've been running around at the colleges mostly, campaigning, getting people registered to vote. And now I'm here to speak to y'all a little bit. about a man that I love so much that I want to get into office. I've spent a lot of time with volunteering with homeless shelters over the past decade. It started with my old pastor, Frank Wilson, who passed away a few years ago, and he suggested we do it during Christmas to remind us the true meaning, which is to serve and to be our brother's keeper. So I started in 2007 going to the homeless shelter on Christmas Day, and then it parlayed into my birthday, and then other times, mostly by myself. I bring my nephew Jaden with me sometimes. I remember one time I was serving, and this guy, one of the guys at the shelter, we'll call him Mark, said, when I went to serve him, he said, "I don't eat gluten." And he wouldn't take the plate. And my ego swelled up, and I wanted to say, "You better take this gluten. You better take what you can get." And at that moment, I realized I had lost my purpose. I came there to humbly serve these people and be grateful for the opportunity to do so. Yet I was serving myself and my ego. That's what so many elected officials have done, is go into public office to serve the people. It's funded, it's funded to serve in a public office funded by the people to help the people, and they forget who they are there to serve because their ego swells up with power as their pockets are lined with money from corporations and lobbyists, and they start working for their own interests and the interests of the 1%. But I've got good news. Bernie Sanders wants to change that. And I want to be a part of that change. I was at the homeless shelter to take people's requests and listen to their needs and serve them just as I would like someone to do me. That's what Bernie Sanders has been doing for decades. He's been listening to our needs, our gripes, our concerns, and our non-gluten preferences, and figuring out what's healthiest for our communities, serving us the way he would want to be served. Equality for all. He refuses to accept quid pro quo money. He always takes the position of humility, fighting for all of us on the ground level as an activist. That's what sets him apart from the others, is that he was an activist first. He is an activist. I loved hearing Bernie talk with Harry Belafonte on the historic Apollo Theater, at the historic Apollo Theater, about marching with Martin Luther King, being arrested in Chicago for fighting against segregation, and his time serving as the chairman of the Congress of Racial Equality at the University of Chicago. Then on that same stage at the Apollo Theater, he boldly took a stand to talk about another group of people that are often neglected, the Palestinian people. And he said something very simple and very true and very revolutionary, that both sides' needs should be considered to bring about peace. I would also like to mention that that night, I went and Googled it and found out that he gave the same speech in 1988. The man has a little bit of foresight. I heard him on stage in Brooklyn be the first and only candidate to say that we owe a great debt to the Black Lives Matter movement for bringing awareness to systemic racism in law enforcement. I started my own activism last year with the Black Lives Matter movement I wanted to ensure that little black and brown kids like my nephew Jaden would not have to wonder if they would receive justice if they were targeted by the same people that were supposed to protect them because of the color of their skin. I want them to know that they are important, that their voice matters. As an activist, Bernie stands with us. He stands with the fight for 15. He stands with the fight against Wall Street corruption. income inequality, environmental racism, clean water and fracking, wage equality, the union strike, matters that affect so many diverse and disenfranchised and marginalized people. In LA City and County, we have the highest population of homeless in the nation. This is due in part to a history of drug addiction and mental illness in our communities. The homeless population is disproportionately Black and Latino. Many are veterans and returning citizens with criminal records who can't find employment. Our government treats drug addiction as a criminal offense, not a mental health issue. The options can seem bleak if you are a poor person of color and can't afford proper treatment and can't get health care and can't afford higher education. Poor people of color are most likely to join the military because they think they have no other option. They are also most likely to be arrested. Many of them saw their option as limited to war or jail. Bernie Sanders wants to change that. And I want to be a part of that change. He wants to treat drug addiction as a health problem, not a criminal problem. We don't want to see our veterans come back to the U.S. unable to get proper health care or a job. Bernie Sanders wants to change that, and I want to be a part of that change. He partnered with John McCain to pass the most comprehensive veterans bill in decades because he cares about our veterans. He cares about the disenfranchised. I've fallen in love with his message of equality. His policy proposals for demilitarizing the police, the reenfranchisement of more than 2 million people of color who have had their right to vote taken away because of felonies, banning for-profit prisons, taking marijuana off of the federal list, turning back from the war on drugs, not to mention free child care, free health care, free college, free pre-K, Social Security expansion, universal health care, immigration reform, improving affordable housing, all things that in effect level the playing field for low-income communities and communities of people of color. These are not radical things. They are human rights. They are truths. Bernie Sanders wants to change this, and I want to be a part of that change. Can you do me a favor and look at your neighbor and say, I want to be a part of that change? During times of deceit, telling the truth becomes a revolutionary act. George Orwell said that years ago. During times of deceit, telling the truth becomes a revolutionary act. It is our job to go out there and be revolutionary and tell the truth, spread the truth, get to the polls on the 7th, get your vote in before if you can. Bring 5 people with you, tell as many people as you can, get your family members, your cousins, your aunties, your nephews, everybody. I can't wait to put this revolutionary, truth-telling activist, in the White House. We cannot blame the government anymore if we don't get out there and make some noise with our votes. The next person that I wanna bring up, I think all of you know him. Not quite. But just as exciting, he's an actor that I look up to, and he's been doing it probably about as long as Bernie Sanders. Welcome to the stage, Danny Glover.
What do you think about Kendrick Sampson? Yeah. Here's a young man at the beginning of his career and making choices to be here because he knows that he is a turning point in history. Here because he knows his voice matters, just as your voice matters, just as every single voice matters here. Every single one of you know that we're making history here. I've been fortunate in my nearly 70 years here to watch so much history, to see how men and women, young people, cross colored lines, change history. And they come together to change history because they have no choice but to change history. They see the truth, and they know that the truth stares them in the face. It affects their lives every single day. It affects whether they work. It affects whether they go to jail. It affects whether they get an education. They know that, and they have no choice but to come here. But they have to believe in something. They have to believe not in a personality, but someone who's on a mission to tell the truth. Someone who's on a mission to talk about real change. We have it in our hands, right in our grasp of our hands, to begin to build a movement for not only us here today, but for the future. For the future of everything that we think about, for the future of every dream that we have. This courageous man from Vermont has the audacity to come up here and tell the truth. He has the audacity, and that audacity didn't begin yesterday. That audacity didn't begin 10 years ago. It began decades ago, more than 50 years ago. When he stood up for justice as a member of the Congress on Racial Equality. When he stood up for justice as the mayor of Burlington, Vermont. Every time he's done that. And he's brought us together. Often this single voice in the U.S. Senate of more than 100 members, he brought us together because he knows your story. He embraces your story. He talks about building a community of love. He talks about building a community of justice, and he stands for justice. That's why I'm here. And every vote counts. Every vote that we've gotten along the way, whether it's South Carolina, whether it's in Michigan, whether it's in New York, whether it's in wherever we've been, right here, that every vote counts. And it's important that we get out here on June 7th and make sure our voice is heard. And make sure the truth is told. Because every vote is a sign of the truth. Every vote is a commitment to the truth. Every vote is here to build a movement of real change. That's what we're here for. And let me tell you something. You never get too old for this. You don't get too old for this. You don't. Because you know there's Kendrick behind you. I know that standing behind me are young men and women my age, communities who want to talk about having a just immigration system and passing one and fighting one. Communities who understand that we have to create affordable jobs. We have to create living wage jobs, jobs that allow us to raise families and build our communities. We understand that. And we have to fight for the one person in my generation, the one person, after all these struggles that I've seen, the one person who is willing to do that and stand up. They stand up. Bernie. I don't have to throw down every single list of the things that he's spoke about and how his ideas are quantitatively different than any ideas that are faced with. He knows that the planet, this precious Mother Earth, is what nourishes us and what lives in it. We know that it's important that we take this step right now, and we know that we are the faces, we are the moral consciousness. Whenever we look at the history of Bernie Sanders, we know that he has been on the compass for justice. He has been the moral symbol of justice, and always that. And I want you to understand that whatever we do in these next 3 weeks, we have 3 weeks here, we do it with passion, we do it with love, we do it with commitment, and we deal with here. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the next President of the United States, Senator Bernie Sanders.
Thank you, Carson. Let me begin by thanking all of you. What a fantastic turnout. Thank you so much. And let me thank Jim Sobel and Nick Zano and Francis Fisher and Hollis Longware and Adriana Aravallo and Gil Cedillo, Kendrick Sampson, and let me give a special thanks to a very good friend of mine and one of the great actors in our country, Danny Glover. Danny is not only an extraordinary actor, but as many of you know, he has spent his entire adult life fighting for economic justice, social justice, racial justice. Danny, thank you for all that you've done. Let me also take this opportunity to say a word of thanks to the people of Kentucky. In a closed primary, something I am not all that enthusiastic about, where independents are not allowed to vote, where Secretary Clinton defeated Barack Obama by 250,000 votes in 2008, it appears tonight that we're going to end up with about half of the delegates from Kentucky. Thank you all for coming out, because this is, in a sense, the beginning of the final push to win California. And by the way, I should tell you that there are a lot of people out there, many of the pundits and politicians, they say Bernie Sanders should drop out. The people of California should not have the right to determine who the next president will be. Well, let me be as clear as I can be. I agree with you. We are in to the last ballot is cast. You know, when we began this campaign a little over a year ago, we were 60 points behind Secretary Clinton in the polls. We had no political organization, no money, very little name recognition. The media and the pundits determined that we were a fringe candidacy. And nobody thought that this campaign was going anywhere. And on top of all of that, we were taking on the most powerful political organization in the country, an organization that elected Bill Clinton twice and ran a strong campaign for Hillary Clinton in 2008. Well, a lot has changed in the last year. As of today, we have won 19 state primaries and caucuses, and over 9 million votes. No one can predict the future, but I think we have a real shot to win primaries in a number of the states that will be coming up. And don't tell Secretary Clinton she might get nervous. I think we're going to win here in California. And as all of you know, California has 475 pledged delegates. And let me mention something else. I am especially proud that in, I believe, every primary and caucus, those we won and those we lost, we have received a significant majority of the votes of young people. And by the way, you know, one of the things about getting older, the older you get, you know, well, people who are older appear to be younger. That's what it is. So we are winning people 45 years of age or younger. And what that tells me is that our vision, a vision of social justice, economic justice, racial justice, and environmental justice, that is the future of this country. As of today, I am proud to tell you that taking on virtually the entire Democratic establishment, almost all of the senators, the members of the House, mayors, governors, we have won over 45% of the pledged delegates. And in a couple of weeks, if we can win big in New Jersey, New Mexico, North and South Dakota, Montana, and California, we have the possibility it will be a steep climb, I recognize that, but we have the possibility of going to Philadelphia with a majority of the pledged delegates. Now, some people say that we've got a steep hill to climb to do that, and that is absolutely true. But you know what? Together, we have been climbing that steep hill from day one in this campaign. And we are going to continue to fight for every last vote until June 14th, and then we're going to take our fight into the convention. You know, there is a lot of discussion about the role of super PACs. And I am very proud to tell you that I am the only candidate running for president who does not have a super PAC. We made a decision when we began this campaign that we were not going to beg Wall Street or corporate America or billionaires for campaign contributions. And as of today, without a super PAC, we have received almost 8 million individual campaign contributions. Anybody know what that average contribution is? That's right. $27. And what that shows the world at a time when big money is dominating our political process, that you can run a strong, winning national campaign without begging billionaires for campaign contributions. Let me also mention something that a lot of people may not be aware of, and that is that virtually every national and state poll taken in the last 6 weeks, in all of those polls, we are defeating Donald Trump. And not only are we defeating Trump in most cases by double digits, in almost every case, whether it is a national poll or a state poll, we do much better against Trump than does Secretary Clinton. Poll just came out, I think it was yesterday, in the state of Georgia, not a very good state for us. Trump was beating Secretary Clinton by 4 points. We were beating him by 5 points. If the Democratic Party wants to be certain that Donald Trump is defeated, and that we must do, we together are the campaign to do that. And it is not just the polls. Polls go up, polls go down. What it is that our campaign has the energy and the enthusiasm and the grassroots capability to make certain that in November, in the general election, we have a huge voter turnout. Here is a political truism. When the voter turnout is low and people are demoralized and don't come out to vote, Republicans win. When there is excitement and energy and people are prepared to stand up and fight back, progressives and Democrats win. That is our campaign. I don't have to explain to anybody here that the American people will not elect a candidate like Donald Trump, who insults Mexicans and Latinos, who insults Muslims, who insults women and veterans, and who, as a leader of the so-called birther movement, tried to delegitimize the presidency of our first African-American president. We will not accept as president a man who wants to give hundreds of billions of dollars in tax breaks to billionaire families like his, but who has told us that we don't have to worry about raising the starvation minimum wage of $7.25 an hour. We will not accept a president who recklessly talks about using nuclear weapons and who changes his mind every day on every issue. Let me also say a word to the leadership of the Democratic Party. And that is that the Democratic Party is going to have to make a very, very profound and important decision. It can do the right thing and open its doors and welcome into the party people who are prepared to fight for real economic and social change. That is the Democratic Party I want to see, bringing in people who are willing to take on Wall Street, to take on corporate greed, and to take on a fossil fuel industry which is destroying this planet. So I say to the leadership of the Democratic Party, open the doors, let the people in. Or the other option for the Democratic Party, which I see as a very sad and tragic option, is to choose to maintain its status quo structure, remain dependent on big money campaign contributions, and be a party with limited participation and limited energy. And a party which, incredibly, is allowing a right-wing extremist Republican Party to capture the votes of a majority of working people in this country. Now, I come from the working class of this country, and I will be damned if we will allow the Republican Party, whose job is to represent the rich and the powerful, to win the votes of working class Americans. Now, let me say a word about why I think this campaign is doing so well. And you know why? Because we are doing something very unusual. We are telling the American people the truth. And here is a very important truth. If we as a nation do not get our act together, this great nation is going to slip into an oligarchic form of society where a handful of billionaires control our political and economic life. Let me tell you how absurd it is. Just announced the other day, the Koch brothers, second wealthiest family in America, a family worth tens of billions of dollars, extremely right-wing, are contributing over $40 million to try to make the United States Senate stay Republican. $40 million. And here is what is even crazier. A guy named Sheldon Adelson, also one of the wealthiest people in America. This is a billionaire who is prepared to contribute huge sums of money to another billionaire named Donald Trump. The American people are sick and tired of billionaires running our economy and our political life. Together, we are going to overturn this disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision. And we're going to move toward public funding of elections. I want this country to be a vibrant democracy. And that means whether you're progressive, conservative, moderate, if you want to run for office, you should not have to beg millionaires for campaign contributions. I want this country to have one of the highest voting turnout rates in the world, not one of the lowest. But before we will have the opportunity to defeat Donald Trump, we're going to have to defeat Secretary Clinton. A campaign is about issues and ideas, and let me very briefly and straightforwardly tell you some of the differences between Secretary Clinton and myself. Number one, I am proud to tell you I don't have a super PAC and I don't get money from Wall Street and other special interests. Secretary Clinton has a number of super PACs, and in the last filing period reported receiving $15 million from Wall Street. Our job is to take on Wall Street, not to take their money. Federal minimum wage of $7.25 is a starvation wage. Secretary Clinton wants to raise that to $12 an hour. That's okay, but it is not good enough. Hold that sign up. Let everybody see it. We're talking about a fight for $15 an hour. And I'm proud to tell you, I have been on the picket line with those workers. They are standing up and fighting for a living wage, and all of us will stand with them. My wife just tells me that CNN has called Oregon for Bernie Sanders. We won a great victory in the state of Washington a few months ago. We just won Oregon. And we're going to win California. I am getting to like the West Coast. This campaign, when we talk about equitable wages, it is not just, as you know, raising the minimum wage to a living wage. It is also ending the disgrace of women making 79 cents on the dollar compared to men. And together, I know that every man here will stand with the women in the fight for pay equity. I am a member of the U.S. Senate Committee on the Environment. And I will tell you what all of you know, and that is that climate change is real. It is caused by human activity. And as everybody in California knows, it is already causing devastating problems. You in California have witnessed the devastating impact of climate change with your own eyes. You have seen historic wildfires which scorched 118,000 acres of land here in California in 2014. You have seen massive mudslides. You have seen rising sea levels. You experienced a massive heat wave in 2006. We have a moral obligation to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. In my view, if we are prepared to be aggressive in transforming our energy system, we need a tax on carbon. We cannot allow with impunity the fossil fuel industry to destroy our planet. I believe in a tax on carbon because I see climate change as one of the great global crises that we face. Secretary Clinton does not support a tax on carbon. One of the great crises that we are beginning to see unfold is whether or not in our country and around the world we will have the clean drinking water that our people need. And that is why I believe we should move to a ban on fracking. That is my view. Unfortunately, it is not Secretary Clinton's view. In fact, when she was Secretary of State, she pushed fracking technology onto countries around the world. The great foreign policy debate, the most important debate that we have had in the modern history of our country, centered around Iraq and whether to go into Iraq. I listened very carefully to what President Bush and Dick Cheney and the others had to say. I voted against that war. Secretary Clinton voted for that war. I believe that when you have a handful of large financial institutions on Wall Street, institutions who have a business model of fraud, institutions which, through their illegal behavior and their greed, drove this country into the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression. I believe that now is the time to break them up. That is my view. That is not Secretary Clinton's view. One of the reasons that the middle class of this country has been in decline for the last 35 years has to do with a disastrous trade policy which has ended up shutting down thousands of factories in America as companies shut down here, threw workers out on the street, and moved to China and other low-wage countries. I voted against every one of those disastrous trade agreements. Secretary Clinton supported almost all of them. What this campaign is about is whether or not we are going to create an economy that works for all of us or an economy that continues to work for the 1%. It is not acceptable to me that in America today we have more income and wealth inequality than any other major country on earth. It's worse now than at any time since 1928. It is not acceptable that the top 0.1% now owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. It is not acceptable to me that in my state of Vermont and here in California and all over this country we have millions of people who are working not one job but 2 jobs and 3 jobs to cobble together the income and health care they need. And yet when mom works, dad works, and the kids work, it ends up that 58% of all new income goes to the top 1%. That is not acceptable. This campaign is listening to the American people and not just to wealthy campaign contributors. This campaign is listening to young people. And young people are asking me, how does it happen that when they do the right thing, when they go out and get the best education they can, they end up $30,000, $50,000, $70,000 in debt? We should not be punishing people for getting an education. We should reward them. "40, 50 years ago, if you had a high school degree, you were in pretty good shape. You could go out, get yourself a good job. Those days, by and large, are gone. We have a changing economy, changing technology, and a changing global economy. We need to have the best educated workforce in the world. And that means that when we think about public education, it's not good enough now just to think about first grade through 12th grade. We need to make public colleges and universities tuition-free. I want every kid in California in the 4th grade and the 6th grade, kids in Vermont, to understand that if they study hard and take school seriously, no matter what the income of their family is, they will be able to get a college education. How many people here are carrying student debt right now? I have talked to people all over this country, people $50,000, $100,000 in debt. For what crime did they commit? That they went out and got a decent education. That is crazy stuff. So we are going to give people with student debt the right to refinance their loans at the lowest interest rates they can find. And people say, my critics say, well, Bernie, you're Santa Claus, you're giving away free tuition, you're going to lower student debt, how are you going to pay for it? I will tell you exactly how we're going to pay for it. 2009, Congress, against my vote, bailed out the crooks on Wall Street. Today, Wall Street is doing just fine, and I think it is appropriate to impose a tax on Wall Street speculation. And that tax will more than pay for free tuition at public colleges and universities and lowering student debt. Now, Wall Street doesn't like that idea, and I say, so what? If we win this election, Wall Street and the other people who now run this country are going to learn a very profound lesson, and that is they will not continue to get it all. I am sick and tired of the greed of corporate America and the greed of Wall Street. We need a new moral compass in this country. Pope Francis talks about a moral economy, and I agree with him. That is what we need. This campaign is listening to our Latino brothers and sisters. My father came to this country at the age of 17 without a nickel in his pocket, so I know a little bit about the immigrant experience. There are 11 million undocumented people in this country today. Many of them are being exploited on the job because when you don't have legal rights, you can't stand up and protect yourself. And that is why I believe we must pass comprehensive immigration reform and a path towards citizenship. And that is why I believe we must stop immediately the current deportation policies. And if Congress does not do its job, I will use the executive powers of the presidency to do what's right. This campaign is listening to our brothers and sisters in the African American community. And they are asking me a very simple but important question. How does it happen that this country has trillions of dollars to spend on a war in Iraq we never should have gotten into, but somehow we don't have the available funds to rebuild our inner cities? I have been to Flint, Michigan, and visited with parents whose children have been poisoned by lead in the water. I have been to Detroit, Michigan, where their public school system is on the verge of fiscal collapse. I have been to Baltimore, Maryland, where tens of thousands of people are addicted to drugs and don't have the treatment available to get them off that heroin. We, as a nation, together, are going to change our national priorities. We are going to rebuild our inner cities, build affordable housing, create decent schools for our children. And this campaign is listening to a people whose pain is almost never heard, and that is our Native American brothers and sisters. We owe the first Americans a debt of gratitude that we can never repay. They have taught us so much, including the very important lesson that as human beings, all of us are part of nature. We must live with nature. And we cannot continue to destroy nature, because if we destroy nature, we are destroying ourselves. Together, this campaign and our presidency are going to reform a broken criminal justice system. It is not acceptable, I believe, to any of us that we have 2.2 million people in jail today, more than any other country on earth. Instead of seeing kids around this country in inner cities or in rural America experience 40–50% unemployment rates, we are going to put those kids to work at good jobs, and we're going to invest in education for them, not jails or incarceration. We want this country to be the best educated country on earth, not the country with more people in jail. What this campaign is about is thinking outside of the box, outside of the status quo. Every other major country on earth, whether it's the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Scandinavia, Canada, every major country guarantees health care to all of their people as a right. The Affordable Care Act has done some very good things, but we have a lot more to do. I believe from the deepest part of my soul that health care is a right, not a privilege. Today, we have 29 million people with no insurance, even more who are underinsured with large deductibles and co-payments, and every one of us is getting ripped off by the greed of the drug companies. Pharmaceutical industry charges us by far the highest prices in the world for the medicine that we need. And by the way, on the ballot in November here in California, you're going to have a proposition making sure that California can control the outrageously high cost of prescription drugs. I congratulate those people who put that item on the ballot. Let's pass it. Together, we will end the fact that we are the only country, major country without health care for all, that we pay far, far more per capita for health care than any other country. We're going to end that by passing a Medicare for all health care system. Now, the insurance companies may not like it. The drug companies may not like it. But the American people do like it, and that's what we got to do. This campaign understands a very, very important historical lesson. And that lesson is that no real change has ever occurred in our country from the top on down. It has always been from the bottom on up. Think back 120 years ago when workers in this country were forced to work 7 days a week, 14 hours a day. They had no rights on the job. Think about the children, 10, 11 years of age, losing their fingers in factories. And what the working people of this country said, sorry, we are human beings, we're not beasts of burden, we're going to form trade unions and negotiate contracts. And I thank the trade union movement for creating the American middle class. Think about 150 years ago, in the midst of the abomination of slavery, there were African Americans and their allies who were prepared to go to jail, to get beaten, to get lynched, who stood up and said, the day will come in this country when we will end racism and bigotry and segregation. And over the years, millions of people were engaged in that struggle. Think about where we were as a country 100 years ago, not such a long time ago. 100 years ago, women in America did not have the right to vote, could not get the education or the jobs they wanted. But women stood up and fought back. Women stood up to the establishment which said to them, your job is to stay home and have babies. But women said, you will not define us. We will define ourselves. And women and their male allies said loudly and clearly, women in America will not be second-class citizens. If we were here 10 years ago, no time at all, somebody jumps up and says, you know, Bernie, I think that, say, by the year 2015, gay marriage will be legal in every state in this country. If somebody said that, the person next door would have said, you are nuts. Wouldn't happen. But what happened is the gay community and their straight allies stood up against incredible bigotry. Against all kinds of abuse, and they said together that in this country people should have the right to love whoever they want, regardless of their gender. And let me give you a more contemporary example. If 5 years ago somebody here stood up and said, Bernie, you know, this $7.25 minimum wage, that's really awful, it's terrible, we gotta raise it to $15 an hour. The person next to him would have said, $15 an hour? You are nuts. You're thinking too radically. You're an extremist. But then what happened, and we got some of them here, workers in the fast food industry went out on strike. Workers in McDonald's and in Burger King and in Wendy's and in Subway and all these places, they told their community and they told the world they cannot live on $7.25 an hour. And then you know what happened after the strikes and the demonstrations? In Seattle, here in Los Angeles, in San Francisco, $15 an hour. And if I have anything to say about it, and I will as president, $15 an hour in every state in this country. What is my point? Here is my point, that throughout, I think you got my point, but I want you to think about this. Throughout history, people looked around them. And if they were a worker working 7 days a week with no power, they saw that as being unjust, unfair. They stood up and they fought back. In the days of terrible segregation and slavery, people said, America will not be racist. Women fought back. The gay community fought back. Low-income workers fought back. That's what change is about. And right now, from coast to coast, and I've been from Maine to California, I am seeing millions of people looking around them, and they're saying, wait a second, what is going on in our country when we have such a grotesque level of income and wealth inequality, and almost all new income and wealth is going to the top 1%? What is going on when the middle class continues to disappear? And we have more children, we have a higher rate of childhood poverty than almost any country on earth. What is going on when we are the only major country on earth not to guarantee paid family and medical leave? Not to guarantee health care to all people? What is going on when women are making 79 cents on the dollar? And when young people are leaving school $50,000 in debt? Now, what the establishment wants you to believe is that real change, effectively dealing with these issues, is impossible. It's too big. It's too radical. the options they want to give you, the media wants to give you, Congress wants to give you. Should we cut food stamps or should we cut education? We do not accept those choices. We're going to ask. At a time of massive income and wealth inequality, yeah, we are going to tell the wealthiest people and the largest corporations they are going to start paying their fair share of taxes. If the American people are prepared to reject the Donald Trumps of the world who want to divide us up, they want to divide us up. But if we stand together as black and white and Latino and Asian American, as Native American, if we stand together as gay and straight, male and female, if we stand together as people born in this country and people who have come into this country, if we stand together and have the courage to take on the billionaire class, to demand a government which represents all of us and not just the 1%, together there is nothing we cannot accomplish. As all of you know, in a few weeks there is going to be an enormously important primary here in California. And what I have found throughout this campaign is we win primaries and caucuses when the voter turnout is high, we lose when it is low. Let us have in the California Democratic primary the largest voter turnout in the history of the state. And let this great state show the world that you are prepared to help lead our nation into the political revolution. Thank you very much.
All right, everybody, that's Bernie Sanders live from Carson, California. Packed crowd. We really want to thank Fox 10 Phoenix. Please, right now, go to Fox 10 Phoenix on YouTube, subscribe to their channel, thank them. There they are. Thank you, Fox 10 Phoenix. Here, we don't want to look at them anymore. But thank them for providing the coverage, because the local news stations have been much kinder about allowing usage of their streams than the national stations, of course, because the national ones are really run at the corporate level and much more interested in the corporate greed. It's an interesting paradigm the way it works with the local stations. We need to thank them. We need to encourage them to continue to do that, because our democracy is it's non-existent right now. If you have not seen what happened in Nevada, please, right now, get that video. It's on Facebook. We posted copies of it on politicalrevolution.tv. It's on the newsroom from this morning. I read the press release after that. TYT does good coverage of it. Find that video. Share it. Show it to people who are not paying attention to the internet. Show it to people who are not listening to anything but the establishment media. Our democracy was just... I don't even know what words to use to describe what happened in Nevada. And right now, the establishment media is pushing a narrative that it's all about the alleged violence. There was no violence that occurred. There were threats made. And while no one wants to threaten other human beings, the threat should be made directly to the establishment at this point. You are not listening to a good portion of the citizens of this nation. and you were making a mockery of the democratic process. In Nevada, you were caught red-handed basically shitting on democracy. And your response is to question the Sanders people about being violent? Do you realize that actions like Nevada are how the people go from political revolution to revolution? You are inciting the violence, and the mainstream media, by perpetuating this narrative, you are bringing about what you want, what you are talking about. You will bring about the violence. If you start reporting the truth, maybe we can open this up, but you are not reporting the truth. And we need to fight that. We as citizens of the United States that are aware of what's going on, we have to share the videos. We have to show people who are not watching the internet, not paying attention to the truth. We have to show them what's going on, because we are facing a propaganda machine that is no different than the Nazi propaganda machine during World War II. It is choosing its narrative. It is pushing its narrative through its very powerful machine, primetime networks, and it is lying to the people. There's a disgrace. There's an absolute disgrace that they are lying to the people, and we need to be relentless about this and be on them in social media, be on them in the public. We need to let them know that this is not okay. This is not okay. And we will remember. Rosario Dawson said we will reward integrity. That there is, in the establishment and establishment media, there is a word going around: be loyal, remain loyal to the establishment so you can keep your paycheck. Well, if you look in history about what happened to the loyalists when the people rose up to reclaim their government, it didn't go so well. So I'm calling on all establishment media propaganda bobbleheads. If you want to retain your jobs when the people take back the country, you might want to start reporting the news with some integrity, because we will remember those and we will reward integrity. Please do what you can. Oh, one more thing before we go. And thank you, comment mods. Wonderful comment mods today. You guys are fantastic. Such fantastic comments. I know we ran out of them. Great conversation, everybody. Thank you for being here. Really quick, if you want to deal a death blow to the DNC in a figurative way, help out Tim Canova. We dropped the link in the chat. Go to Tim Canova's site. Donate to him. He has a great chance of defeating Debbie Wasserman Schultz. We need to double the amount of money that he's raised so far, but money is the key. Money is the key resource in this war. For our politicians, for the one foot in strategy, we need to raise as much money as possible. If you donate it to Bernie Sanders, which definitely needs to happen, please donate to Tim Canova. If you could donate to both of those guys, we can get rid of Debbie Wasserman Schultz in her district in Florida, and that's a big, huge step towards putting people with a moral compass back in our government. As Bernie Sanders said, we need to put a moral compass back in our government. It has lost its way, and the establishment media has lost its way. And we, the people, have to rise and bring them to heel. Let them know who is in power here. The ants rule this place. So, do what you can, everybody. Stand strong. Be Bernie strong. We will see you tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, for the Real Newsroom. We'll talk about all these results, what's going on here. No movement in the results. No movement in the results on the Oregon primary. I don't know why it's stuck at 60%. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe that's just the way it is. We'll learn the rest tomorrow. Bernie won. Delegates split. 28 delegates for Bernie, 24 delegates for Hillary Clinton. The Kentucky split was 25-25. So I'm sure there'll be some back and forth. Either way, Bernie wins one. They're going to claim Hillary wins one. So she gets to have those optics. I saw somebody mention that Wolf Blitzer was having an orgasm because he got to claim a win for Hillary. That's great for him. And I'm sure Oregon is a devastating blow to Bernie Sanders. And, that's just Wolf. We're going to go out with something very, it's put out by the Sanders campaign. And it's a very important message. It starts off with, I am a human being. The bottom line with what's going on right now, folks, is we are on the verge of a revolution. The media is blatantly lying to the American public. And we are doing our best to work against that. The democratic process has broken down. We have eyewitnesses to that, and we have footage of that from the Nevada convention. There has been rampant election fraud since the beginning. And this is a scary time in the United States of America. I never thought I would see this dystopia occur in my own backyard. I read about it in sci-fi as a teenager and said to myself, never in this great nation, never here will we have to worry about that dystopia because we have a democracy. That is true no longer. This is not a democracy when a good portion of the people's voice is ignored. We have to take back our country. We have to be relentless. Every day, 7 days a week, do what you can. War does not take a vacation. Stand strong. Tomorrow, phone bank, face bank, we have more primaries coming up. We'll talk about all this in the newsroom in the morning. Thank you all for being here, doing what you can. Volunteers, everybody. This is real. This is real. And we've got a lot of work to do. Feel the burn, everybody. If you're a human being and you have a moral compass, you'll vote for Bernie Sanders.
As put astum Asia lu kastuli lu lasm kmok lu sak utatistam Asia ka inku tasawat tsin kutnaksum tel tatswat.
I am a human being, and to me that means a responsibility, and a lot of people shirk their responsibilities.
The old values, the basic ones that got us here are being ignored. Like I say, we've become mean-spirited, and that's not what America's about. It's supposed to be the land of opportunity. We're the greatest nation in the world, but yet we got people sleeping on the streets. We got, crime and inequality in the justice system, and a lot of it is rooted in the dollar.
Because of what Bernie has done in the past for standing up against the large corporations, he is in line with my morals and my views that we shouldn't just allow some people to get rich and the other go poor. From a cultural perspective and a tribal perspective, we would have wanted to make sure that everybody was getting that equal opportunity.
So when you get a presidential candidate that actually is going to care about Native people, then, as a Native person, I have to support that. Why would I support another candidate that ain't even going to have any respect for me as a Native American?
A lot of people think we don't exist anymore. Bringing our issues to the forefront, allowing more people to learn about us, bringing in more interest will help our own efforts in trying to keep our culture alive.
He does care about human beings everywhere. He's not worried about a race, a color. He just supports people. And that's humanity at its finest. That's the kind of president that I want.
I am a human being, and I support Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders
I am a human being, and I support Bernie Sanders.
I'm a human being, and I support Bernie Sanders.
I
am a human being, and I support Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders iksukapio.
Huge